You're listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast, and I'm your host, Abuja based photographer Tavishima Ayede. In the last episode, I talked about the training that I took part in for intending wedding photographers. It was organized by these events on the 26th of June 2020, and I was one of the facilitators. Some of the ideas that we explored in the beginning of the training was how having a multidisciplinary approach can help your wedding practice. And some of the examples that I gave at the end of the last episode was from my legal experience and how it helps in my client consultations as a wedding photographer and how I manage workflows using diaries and journals. Because back when we were in university and in law school, those were the sorts of things that we were taught in legal ethics. I also gave an example about my friend Manny from Sculptors Events, a well-known planning outfit here in Abuja. He has a real estate and project management background, and he uses that to ensure a very strict approach to how they manage budgets and timelines, not just in the lead up to the wedding, when they're negotiating with vendors and having the various meetings with the brides and grooms and the parents, but also how they take that to managing the wedding on the wedding day to make sure that everything flows smoothly like a locomotive without any hitches. And finally, I also gave an example of another good friend of mine, Laura Michael Phillips of Posh and Pristine Events, also another wedding planning outfit here in Abuja. She has a television production background and how that comes in handy in managing vendors and different contract negotiations and stuff like that. Essentially, in her former job, she was putting together a show for television, and now she's putting together a show for you and I, who are the friends and the family of the brides and the grooms. And of course, if you listen to the last episode, you'll also see how the different examples that we gave there, the different participants with different academic backgrounds, and how that applies to wedding planning as well. And for those of you who are not wedding planners, you can take that by extension to see how whatever it is that you studied, even if you studied statistics, in fact, I wonder how statistics would come in handy if you're, say, a wedding photographer. Maybe it's something I can think about and riff on another day. Okay, but basically that's the whole idea. That was the idea of the last episode. A multidisciplinary approach will come in handy in your wedding practice. Now, today, if you remember, during the training, as for those of you who've listened to the old podcast, the whole idea behind the training was to introduce wedding planners to personal sales, because these events and other outfits that I have worked with are interested in planning the next generation of wedding planners in Abuja. So the whole idea behind the course was to introduce the wedding planners to the idea of personal sales. Now, why is personal sales important? For those of you who've been listening from day one, the answer is obvious. But for those of you who are just catching me today, or who have caught me in just a few episodes before this, personal selling is important because there are other avenues besides brand and online marketing that you can use to build your business. For those of us who are late 70s, early 80s kids who are now involved in the wedding space or in other forms of business, our default is to assume that brand is the way to go, because when we were kids in the 80s and the 90s, that was the thing, branding. And we also assume that online marketing is the way to go, because now in our 30s and 40s and maybe in our late 20s, when the internet was becoming a thing, online marketing was the latest gig in town. So by default, a lot of us just assume that if we're stepping into business, and by extension, if you're coming into the wedding industry, the tools that you have are, number one, brand, number two, online marketing. And I'm here to tell you that there's a third, and that is personal sales. Now, Another reason why personal sales is important is because once brides and grooms get into your online ecosystem, that's whatever it is you use. If you do a lot of branding in traditional print, maybe you get published in wedding magazines and you have your phone number and your email there, or you do lots of online marketing, you have a wonderful website and your Instagram is top notch. Now, when you get these people into your ecosystem, you're going to need good people skills. You're also going to need good personal selling skills to book more weddings, because there are a couple of these people who will get in touch through your branding efforts, your advertising efforts, and your online marketing efforts. And some of these people will be good to go. And they'll call you up and they'll say, "Are you XYZ wedding planners?" And you say, "Yes." And you say, "My wedding is so, 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 and so. How much do you cost?" And you say, "It costs 1.2 million." And they'll say, "Okay, can I have your bank account details?" And they'll pay. And that'll be really good and easy money. But the thing is, after you spend some time in the business, you realize that properly, let's call them motivated buyers, properly, sufficiently motivated buyers are rare. So if 20 people call you, the possibility that every one of them is going to be properly motivated and just say, "I'm good with the money, let me have your account details and let me book, let's roll," the possibility of that happening is very, very low. If I was to guess, if I was to make a rough guess, I would say maybe one in, if I was to guess, I'll say maybe 1 in 20. Sorry for the interruption there. I'm looking for quiet places in the house to record because we're still in the COVID lockdown, and unfortunately I can't find a quiet place in the house to record. And I'll get back to the kids later. So now, on to the episode. Let's see, where were we? Okay, yes. So not everybody who comes into your ecosystem is going to be properly motivated and ready to drop 1.2 million and ready to roll. So you're going to need some people skills and some personal selling skills to convert a couple of those people who are maybe not so sure, or who are a little shy, or who have one or two other objections that you have to work through before they work with you. So that is why personal selling is important. And then personal sales, just like I alluded to in the beginning, is also a traditional key component of your business marketing function. For those of you who studied social sciences, I believe, and you did business studies or business administration or those kinds of courses, it's something that you know already, that the business function of marketing has a couple of little babies under it, and that includes advertising. Nowadays, that also includes online and your content marketing. Then that also includes merchandising, distribution, and it also includes sales, personal sales. So while you need to learn all those other stuff, you also need to learn personal sales as well. Now, for those of you who've been with me from day one, you're aware that that's the aim of this podcast. I want to convert all of you to the gospel of personal sales so that we can have more customer satisfaction, more happy clients, more personal fulfillment, and ultimately so that we can make more money. Now, before I wind up for today, I'd like to return to an old question that I've asked severally on the podcast. That's for those of you who are just catching me today. And that is, what is the purpose of a business? It might seem counterintuitive, but I believe, along with Professor Drucker, that the purpose of a business is to create a customer, or as we say here in Nigeria, the purpose of a business is to find market, in quote. And that is the thing that binds all of us. So Dangote is always constantly trying to find market. Tapped out the Nigerian market, looking for new markets. I'm always trying to find market. If Mary Kay is coming to Nigeria, it's the same thing. They're looking for new customers, and on and on and on. You sell bread, you sell kulikuli, you sell slippers. The purpose is the same. You are always trying to create a customer. You're always trying to find market, in quote. Now, the way that you achieve this, the way that you create customers, according to Professor Peter Drucker, is you do this through, number one, marketing, and number two, innovation. Now, I've said it time and time again, and I believe some of you might disagree, but I would say that in this day and age, innovation is a given. If you do not deliver a top-notch product, a top-notch service, if you do not innovate in technique and delivery and things like that, you're just not going to succeed in the current business environment, because we have YouTube and we have the internet. So there's everything that everyone needs to learn the technical aspect. So yeah, the course was personal sales for wedding planners. For wedding planners, through YouTube and online classes and things like that, you have absolutely everything that you need to learn about the technical side, so you can innovate with good designs, or about how you plan weddings, or crowd management or crowd flow on the wedding day, things like that. So innovation is a given. If you don't have the innovation game locked down, you are going to lose. So I think the distinguishing factor, and what is going to help to bump us all to the next step, since we all are highly skilled technically and innovative in our wedding practice, the thing that is going to set us apart is marketing. So marketing is your primary purpose. So that's my lesson today for those of you who are intending wedding planners and who are already wedding planners listening to it. It might not sound very juicy, but I think this is the truth. Your primary purpose as a wedding planner is not to be a wedding planner per se. It's first and foremost to be a marketer, so that you can create a customer. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. For those of you who have questions, comments, or queries, you can hit me up on email, and it's ayede.tave@gmail.com. That is AYEDE.TAVER@gmail.com. Again, that is D for Delta, and the other letter is a V for Victor. Ayede.tave at gmail ayede.tave@gmail.com. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode.